Businesses, but creators, innovators, and the future of originality in Nigeria.
And that's right, Yemi. We are talking about intellectual property theft. It's become an increasingly dangerous trend. Brilliant ideas being stolen, copied, and commercialized without credit or compensation. I mean, it's not just music and movies. Sometimes it is tech, fashion, publishing, even advertising concepts.
And the question many are asking is, how do we protect Nigerian creativity in a world where stealing ideas has become easier than ever, especially online? Joining us to explore this big story is none other than Oluwafemi Atala, Head of Operations, Nigerian Copyright Commission. You'll be helping us unpack the law, the loopholes, and the battle for justice in Nigeria's creative economy.
Well, it promises to be an enlightening and necessary conversation. If you are a content creator, an entrepreneur, or just even just a consumer of Nigerian talent, of course, you will want to stay tuned for this one.
And after that, we'll take a look at what's trending across the country, from governance to youth activism, social issues, and everything Nigerians are reacting to online and offline. There's always something eating up on Trend Watch.
All right, so get comfortable, grab your notepad if you need to, and let's make sense of the stories shaping our nation this morning. Of course, it's a brand new week. Today is Monday. You are watching Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. Don't forget you can keep the conversation going by linking up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can also watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel. Do well to subscribe to that channel. Of course, drop your comment there. We'll surely take them before the show runs out. Well, good morning to you, Yemi.
Good morning, Samson.
Good to have you here again.
Same here.
Interestingly, there are so many things to talk about today.
Definitely.
But then we'll be going straight to issues of Nigerian elite politicians, the wealthy ones, you know. After all said and done, before you know it, they have sent their children out of the country to study. And you begin to ask questions, what does that pose for average Nigerians out there?
Honestly, I think it's an issue that has been on for quite a number of times, and it's not just about the politicians. I've also seen very wealthy people, you know, even some of them have universities in the country, but they'll still, you know, send their children out of Nigeria. And sometimes it's not just about the parents, it's about the preference of their children. They know their father owns a university, but still they want to explore outside of the country. So speaking of, you know, Dati Ahmed, you know, the case study that we are looking at this morning, I think his son just graduated from, you know, Mary University, I think in the UK. And then I read something online that said that, you know, the guy or the young guy, you know, had his first degree in his father's university, which is based. And of course, this one is MSc, but I'm not quite sure if that information is true, but I was able to, you know, read through online. However, so I think apart from the fact that, you know, the father might want maybe his son to stay in Nigeria, sometimes it's about the preference of the child himself. Yes, maybe he had his first degree and he feels like, okay, I want to go outside and study. But does that help our, you know, educational system? Because, I mean, people will feel like if you cannot allow your children to do BA, maybe first degree, second degree, and even PhD in your own university, how do you convince other people to do same? But I still feel like, you know, it's a thing of choice. Just like they will say, have you seen, you know, wealthy people, you know, there'll be good, you know, hospitals in Nigeria, and they'll still prefer to go outside to take medical attention. So it's not just about maybe they have one thing in the country, maybe university or an hospital, some of them is preference. But that preference, does it help us in any way?
Well,
That's a bone of
I think
contention.
it doesn't, actually. It actually amounts to demarketing the Nigerian education system, even the health sector. It does demarket, you know, what we have here. Because the message and the signal you are sending to people abroad is that, oh, whatever it is I have left at home is nothing to write home about, and that's exactly why I'm here. So what that means for an average Nigerian is, well, you are in a sinking ship. And if you like, well, find an alternative, probably find yourself a life jacket, or maybe, you know, find a way to jump out of that ship. Just find your way to safety. But then I have the liberty to say, look, I'm not staying with you, especially when the ship has already capsized or is capsizing, so I'm leaving. Especially when, see, one thing, why do we have influencers? What they do basically is to say, look, as influential as I am, what I can say to you is this particular product I'm holding is of high quality. And for the fact that I'm using it, or I am telling you, oh, you can start using this product, means that it comes with endorsement from me. So if an average politician in Nigeria is an influencer to whatever it is they represent, which is the country. So if a politician in Nigeria says, look, the education sector in Nigeria is nothing to write home about, all you have to do is to find your way abroad and study, then that means that the message you are passing across to people abroad, or probably people who are still in Nigeria and are looking for ways to actually study, is to tell them, look, whatever it is you can do, find yourself out of this country if you want to study good. So I feel like it's more or less like Nigerians shooting Nigeria in the leg. I don't see a way forward. If we continue to say, look, people like Dati Baba Ahmed, we have seen children of Malam Nasir El-Rufai, even sitting presidents, their children will
even Amechi.
abroad, even Amechi.
Yeah.
So they were in power. And what they are trying to tell us is whatever it is you have seen that we have done. Take, for example, Governor Yaya Bello, former governor of Kogi State, built Confluence Hospital in Kogi State, called World Class Hospital. If you see the pictures, you would believe, oh, it's a world class hospital. But then, during the period he had an issue with the FCC, he's telling the court to say, look, I want to go abroad for medical treatment. What happens to that hospital that you built with the taxpayers' money in Kogi State? So what you are telling the people of Kogi at that time is that the hospital I have built for you, if you like, go there. If you like, don't go there. There's no endorsement from me. But as for me, as little as this thing that is worrying me is, I want to go abroad to sort it out. I mean, that's nothing more than a demarketing system for the country.
Okay, speaking of Yaya Bello, I think apart from that, it was also alleged that he paid for his children's fees in a particular university abroad till they'll be done with schooling. And aside from that, I also think it's a thing of the mind, or let me say that psyche, because you believe that, okay, if I study abroad, it's a good thing for me. I can be able to stand anywhere, and then beat people. But really, I don't think it's about that. Because, I mean, if you say that we want to build schools in Nigeria and you still go out and say, I want to study abroad. However, just like I said, it's a thing of choice. You might want to have your first degree and go outside of the country, regardless of whether your father is the owner of base or not. I've seen people who are not even that wealthy, but then they'll prefer to study abroad. So really, I don't think it's a thing of, it's about the politicians alone. Sometimes it's about preference. And I feel like it's not a bad thing if you really want to have first degree and go outside of the country to do other stories. Really.
Now to buttress your point, yes, it's a thing of choice. An average Nigerian can even think, look, I want to go to Benin Republic, go to Ghana to advance my education. It doesn't matter as long as you can afford it and you know you have what it takes to do it. Yes, it's fine. But it's coming from politicians that an average Nigerian do not trust. So what it means is that what comes to an average Nigerian's head is, oh, you have stolen our money and you are taking your children
Don't
abroad.
forget, I think he was owner of base even before he ventured into politics.
Yes.
So I don't think it's political in any sense.
Yeah, but then this conversation is not limited to Dati Baba Ahmed alone.
Exactly.
It's actually encompasses every politician, every elite that has one or two things to do with the Nigerian political system. So let me now say this very quickly before we go. I think poverty is a thing of the mind. It's in the head. No matter how rich a person is, if that person is still poor, he's still poor. Because the person will still think like a poor man. Now, if you have gathered so much money, and you say, look, I still want more, regardless of the situation, you will still want more, even though you have enough. So I don't think it has anything to do with the Nigerian thing. I think it's an individual thing. Now, if politicians are doing this, what happens to average Nigerians out there? The signal it sends is, anytime, any day I find myself at the corridor of power, the first thing I do is to make sure that I take enough money to send my children abroad. Just like you mentioned earlier, Yaya Bello, former governor of Kogi State, paid the tuition fee of his children until they are done. And these are even kids. They are kids. They are not even in the primary school
something like
yet.
that, you think he's going to enroll his children in Nigerian universities? Definitely he's not going to do that.
He's not going to do that.
He obviously, has preference for universities outside of the country. So really, just like I said, it's a thing of the choice. And the reason why I said it has to do with, the mind sometimes is because, we feel like Nigerian universities, even the private ones, sometimes a lot of persons will say, I'd rather hire someone who went to a federal school compared to someone who went to a private university. Because private universities don't go on strike. But some people will say, okay, I prefer someone who went to federal, which is not right, because I've seen people who went to private universities and they are very, very sound. So it's not about that. So the reason why I said that is because a lot of persons, I've met people who even have like maybe scholarship in Nigeria, but they would rather go abroad because they feel they want to be exposed to certain things that are not available in Nigeria. Now,
to wrap it up on this segment, I think the way the Nigerian education system is being managed, we always put the system in such a way that Nigerians will prefer to go abroad to study. Now, look at the situation of ASU, look at the non-academic staff union. They are always having one issue with the government or the other. They are either asking for this payment or that, and then the government will say, oh, look, we don't have this at this time. See, until the Nigerian education system is made attractive to Nigerians, and then made attractive to people outside the country to come into the country to actually say, oh, we want to study in Nigeria, I think there is no way forward.
Do you know the funniest thing? I've seen foreign students who come to some Nigerian universities to study.
They will come, but what are they coming here to study? You will see them at the linguistics department. They are studying Yoruba and what other courses. I don't think someone will leave the UK to study medicine in Nigeria. I don't think so, as we speak.
Obvious, and that's the reason. That's the major reason why a lot of persons will not study Nigeria, and they would rather go.
That's the problem. But then I think this is.
So are you saying that's a thing of the mind?
It's a thing of the mind. Really? This is a case for another day, and I think we are still going to find a way to make sure that we'll talk about this enough that Nigerians will know that we have to cherish what we have here. Definitely. All right, that takes us to the end of this segment of the show. This morning we say a very big thank you to everyone that has tuned in so far. Do not forget, keep the conversation going on all our social media platforms. We step aside a little bit and of course head straight to our news desk this morning. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television.
Ever dreamed of creating the next virus series or telling powerful stories on the big screen? This summer, your passion for TV can become a reality. Our TV Practical Summer Class is calling all future scriptwriters, producers, directors, video editors, reporters, news editors, and on-air personalities. Get hands-on training from industry professionals. Learn to shoot with professional cameras, master editing software, and produce your own content from start to finish. This isn't just a class. It's your launch pad. Don't just watch TV. Make it. Enroll now. Spaces are limited. Visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng or call the number 0706 777 9435 0706 777 9435. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Good morning. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I am Oluwayemi Adelakun. The federal government has reiterated its commitment towards boosting food security through strategic partnerships with development agencies and encourages increased investment in food production across the country. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, stated these when he hosted the newly appointed country representative of the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, to Nigeria, Dr. Gadian Hussein, on his delegation in Abuja. A statement by the Director, Information and Public Relations in the Ministry, Fumi Imwetian, emphasized President Tinubu's strong commitment to enhancing food production in the country, assuring the Ministry's readiness to collaborate fully with FAO in advancing food production in Nigeria, in line with the renewed Hope Agenda and the mandate of the Ministry. The federal government has unveiled a plan to renovate and expand the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos as part of its drive to modernize Nigeria's aviation infrastructure and boost passenger experience. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, disclosed the details of the project in a statement. According to Keyamo, the approval of the transformation project was secured during the Federal Executive Council meeting. Keyamo emphasized that the redevelopment would be funded through homegrown initiative, not foreign loans. The federal government has pledged to review the long-awaited nursing scheme of service within 4 weeks. It also pledged to direct the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria to put in place modalities for the central placement of nurses for internship. These measures are aimed at addressing key demands of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, particularly those related to career progression, welfare, and internship placement. This resolution formed part of a memorandum of understanding reached at the end of a reconciliation meeting convened by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Muhammadu Dinyati, and attended by the Coordinating Minister for Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pitt, and the leadership of NAM. The Oyo State government has commenced the mass distribution of over 5 million insecticide-treated net across the 33 local government areas as part of effort to curb the spread of malaria. Speaking at the official flag-off ceremony held at Idi Ogungun Primary Health Care Center, Agodi Gate, Ibadan North local government area, the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Oluwaseremi Adetumobi, said the initiative reflects the government's unwavering commitment to protecting vulnerable groups, especially pregnant women and children under 5. Dr. Adetumobi urged residents to use the net properly and adopt nightly habits, noting that the latest generation of net is made with breathable, lightweight materials that do not retain heat when used in well-ventilated rooms. She warned that diverting or ordering the net is a punishable offense under the law. The Commissioner cautioned against the misuse of the mosquito net for non-health purposes such as fishing, gardening, window covers, or commercial displays. Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has directed the immediate rehabilitation of the Iwo-Osogbo Road. This directive was announced in a statement issued by Adeleke's spokesperson, Olawale Rashid, after reports of worsened road conditions, especially during the ongoing rainy season, which have made several stretches of the road nearly impassable. The governor, according to the statement, instructed the Ministry of Works to swiftly intervene in the worst-hit parts to aid transportation for motorists. The governor said that the rehabilitation would target the road's most deteriorated sections pending full reconstruction. In business, the Bank of Industry, BOI, has reiterated its commitment to improving access to affordable financing for micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, through the continued disbursement of its 75 billion naira intervention fund. Dr. Olusopo Oluse, Managing Director of BOI, represented by the Divisional Head of Multilaterals Division, Yinka Adeboye, gave the assurance at the Presidential Loan Clinic for MSMEs held in Abuja. The event was organized in partnership with the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on MSMEs and Job Creation. The initiative aims to empower MSMEs, create over 75,000 direct jobs, and generate an additional 150,000 indirect jobs across Nigeria. Oluse noted that many loans have been approved, but disbursement delays persist due to incomplete documentation and compliance issues. In sports, the Shibon Eagles have shown their full support behind Ademola Lookman, who submitted a transfer request at Atlanta. Lookman is getting frustrated with the Serie A club blocking his move to Inter Milan and has decided to force the issue. Inter have seen several offers rebuffed by their Italian rivals and are threatening to walk away from negotiations. It has led to Lukman releasing a statement across his social media handles, speaking up about how he has been treated by Atlanta. And a post on the Super Eagles official X handle, a picture of the 27-year-old was posted, declaring the support for Lukman. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast and X at Dominioncast. That's the break news. I am Oluwayemi Adelakun saying thank you for watching and good morning.
Ever dreamed of creating the next viral series or telling powerful stories on the big screen? This summer, your passion for TV can become a reality. Our TV Practical Summer Class is calling all future scriptwriters, producers, directors, video editors, reporters, news editors, and on-air personalities. Get hands-on training from industry professionals. Learn to shoot with professional cameras, master editing software, and produce your own content from start to finish. This isn't just a class. It's your launch pad. Don't just watch TV. Make it. Enroll now. Spaces are limited. Visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng or call the number 0706 777 9435 0706 777 9435. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us. And this is Newspaper Headlines Analysis, where we make sense of some of the top stories across the dailies. Let me start from New Telegraph this morning. I have this headline that says, Falcons coaches should get same $100,000 as players, Adeboye tells Tinubu. And of course, when I read that story yesterday, a lot of Nigerians are saying, really, why is it that, the coach have to get the same thing as the players? Well, a lot of persons supported, Pastor Adeboye, that of course, the coach also, did a lot of work, just as the players. And of course, a lot of persons even said that you can measure the players, through the coach, because if the coach is not capable, the players will not do excellently well. And of course, we look out for if that will continue, in terms of rewarding the coach, the same way as the players. Away from that story, let's also check this one that says longer activity in office does not mark success. That's coming from Obi. That's the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party. And of course, he says is going to rule for just one term. And of course, before now, we've read stories. And of course, Obi himself in several interviews have said that, what, if I'm elected president of the country, I'm going to just, stay for just one term, regardless of whether, the masses want me to run for the second term. However, a lot of persons, the likes of Dijaji, the human rights lawyer, a couple of other politicians are saying even if Obi should swear in the shrine, that he's going to rule for just one term. A lot of persons will not believe him. Why? Because most presidents, rule for 2 terms. However, Obi is saying it doesn't matter. I can do it in 4 years, regardless of the fact that, okay, Nigeria is battling with a lot of issues now. Despite our hydra-headed problems, Obi is saying I can do it in 4 years. I can bring things back to normal. I can regulate, the fuel. I can regulate a lot of things, even the naira. I can bring all of those things, back to normal. However, a lot of Nigerians and even politicians, of course, people from the opposition parties, the APC, and of course other parties are saying we don't see that happening because when it comes to power, once you enter, you have that mindset of, okay, I can actually run for the 2nd term. I don't know, maybe if Obi should win, the elections, maybe in 2027, and then we'll see whether he's going to keep to that word. Remember that there was a time that, Obi said he's not going to leave APGA. That's his former, political party, even before he moved to the PDP. However, he left. He left APGA, went to PDP, also left PDP to Labour Party. And of course, there are claims that he might even leave the Labour Party to the ADC. It depends on how this is going to play out in the nearest future, whether Obi will keep to these should he win, the elections. Away from that, let's also check this headline that says, I have this one on New Telegraph, the Israeli minister sparks anger by praying at sensitive Jerusalem holy site. And away from that story, I also have this one that says, North not marginalized under Tinubu. That's coming from Kaduna governor. Recall that there was a time just recently, Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, a member of the NPP Labour Party, said that he feels, the president, is trying to marginalize the North in terms of, infrastructure, the building of roads. Even mentioned that there was a time he had to travel by road, and of course, the situation was very terrible for him because the roads are bad. And then he tried to compare the roads that we have on the southern part of the country to the northern part of the country. And I think that even members, people, politicians in the northwest, northeast, a lot of them have complained bitterly that, do not listen to Kwankwaso by saying that the north is being marginalized, because we have seen quite a number of good things in terms of road, infrastructure, in the northern part of the country. And of course, this headline is also saying that not marginalized on the Tinubu. That's coming from the Kaduna governor. And then that headline asks this writer, says the region's problems complex, steeped in history. They're talking about history. Maybe he's talking about the fact that, after the amalgamation, there was divide and rule, of course, by the colonizers. And of course, a lot of persons said, the eastern part and, of course, the southern part, western part, were more educated. And, of course, the northern part were more grounded in politics. This differences caused a lot of issues that we are still battling with, in 2025. Maybe speaking of that, I'm talking about the Kaduna governor saying the problem, stems from history and is not just a thing of the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Away from the story, I also have this one that says, insecurity, Zamfara partners NSA, Colombia to counter violent extremism. I think that's a good initiative because looking at the fact that even I read quite a number of stories over the weekend about the attack in Sokoto and then even in Plateau State. So it's a lot to undo, regardless of the fact that, the government is saying we have pumped money into this sector. We want to see, this money, working. It's not just about pumping money into insecurity. We want to see things get better. There was a time that even the president had to call out the IGP to see, have you not arrested anyone, speaking about the attack in Benue. So we want to see things get better. And of course, I think this partnership, should help us. And away from that, I also think we can learn, from international bodies on how they tackle insecurity. Nigeria used to be a country, that helps other countries, to tackle insecurity, neighboring countries. So what has happened to us for a country that used to do that for other neighboring countries? How are we still battling with insecurity across the country? And don't forget, this has affected a lot of farmers. A lot are being killed. And Sokoto, for instance, some farmers were killed, some were abducted, some were injured. People like this, we still have the mindset to say, I want to venture into agriculture. Should they escape it or should they get back, from the hospitals? It's a lot to undo. And that's why food inflation competition is so high, regardless of the fact that, okay, we have the lands, but then are people willing to farm because their lives are threatened? And it's just about the northern parts, the southern parts too. I mean, these issues are ongoing, and it's a sad one. We look forward to a day whereby, I mean, people will be willing to go to the farms without being scared. And of course, away from that headline, let's cross over to another newspaper this morning. Let's check what's going on The Guardian. I have this one that says slow digital integration rivalry more NSW's odds ahead of Q1 takeoff, and also have this headline that says PDP leaders split on Jonathan Obi for 2027 presidential candidacy. A lot is going on because I've also seen some stories that are saying, the former president of the country, that's Goodluck Jonathan, might come back to run, for PDP. Do you see that happening? Because there's a lot to undo. I think I watched one of his interviews, and then he doesn't sound as someone who would be willing to come back to run, for president of his country. He has done his bit, and of course, a lot of persons felt like he was able to tackle some of the things that happened in the country. And there's one thing about Nigerians: once someone becomes a past president, Nigerians tend to miss you, and then they will say, that man that ruled before this person, he was able to do this and that. Even the current president, by the time he leaves office, a lot of persons will still say something about him. So it's a thing of the mind sometimes, because we feel like if someone should leave, the former president will always be better than the one that is coming in. However, a lot is going on within the PDP, within the ADC, and of course the Labour Party, and we are not really certain of who is going to be the flag bearer of the coalition, which is ADC. I mean, we are seeing talks surrounding Peter Obi, surrounding Atiku, and just recently I watched an interview over the weekend where a popular lawyer, Deji Adeyanju, was talking about the fact that even if Atiku should give Obi VP slot, he should be happy. Why? Because according to him, he thinks Obi has lost that political ground, looking at the fact that, I mean, it's not even decided on whether he wants to stay in the Labour Party or move to the ADC. However, a lot of Nigerians counter that opinion, saying that, you see, Peter Obi will always have his own supporters, and of course he was able to gather over 6 billion votes in the last election. And he also feels that, even if Obi takes VP slot and Atiku becomes the flag bearer, he's going to lose vote because some Christians, according to him, might not vote for him, and he might even lose some votes, I mean, from the Southeast, looking at the fact that he might not trust the fact that he wants to run as the VP. Away from that story, let's also check another story that I have on The Guardian this morning. I have this one that says Falana urges federal government to fund welfare programs, not luxury projects. Speaking of luxury project, I'm not quite sure, I mean, what Femi Falana is trying to talk about here, because, I mean, what I've seen over the weekend in terms of the projects that the federal government is trying to embark on has to do with, I mean, trying to renovate, some parts or some, infrastructures across the country. However, Femi Falana is saying it should be about the welfare of the people instead of pumping huge amount of money to renovating, a lot of things in the country. Just recently, the ICC was renovated, and of course, the Festus Keyamo is also talking about renovation, of course, of the airport, a part of the airport, and then quite, I think over $700 billion is going to be used for that, and Nigerians are saying, is that not too much, I mean, for renovation? However, I mean, it depends on, I mean, the decision of the federal government, because Keyamo also came out to say that, I mean, that money is what they need, I mean, to renovate that place, looking at the fact that inflation is biting hard in the country. Away from the story, let's check this one that says tension deepens as NNPCL as reforms power struggle split, stakeholders. I mean, looking at NNPCL, a lot is going on within that sector. Over the weekend, I read that, I mean, Bayo Julari, that is the GCO, was arrested and forced to resign. And of course, I mean, the newsmen are saying, okay, we've not even confirmed this story, whether he has resigned or not. Looking at the fact that, he has refused to show up before the Senate, looking at the fact that about $21 billion was said to have, gone missing in the purse of that sector. And then they want to ask him some questions, but up to now, he has refused to show up before the Senate. And of course, I read that he was arrested and then forced to resign. And this headline is saying tension deepens at NNPCL as reforms power struggle with split stakeholders. More troubles might actually come up, I mean, if this is not settled amicably. I mean, let this man and other, and the persons, executives in that sector, sit with the Senate and let them resolve this issue. Away from that, let's also check this headline that says NUC worries over professional bodies overreach seeks harmonized accreditation system. Let's cross over from The Guardian to this day. I have this headline that says Tinubu First Lady rejoiced with the Tigers for a modern 5th consecutive time AfroBasket winner. Congratulations to Nigerians and of course the team for winning these, for the 5th time in a row. And of course we appreciate them. And don't forget, some Nigerians, I read some comment online, they're saying, will they also receive $100,000 each, apart mentioned, just like, the women, received, just last week. I think it depends on the president, how he wants to reward them. And of course we cannot dictate, for the president, we can only speculate. From that story, let's also check this one that says, despite applause, ADC says 712 billion Lagos Airport project wasteful. I just talked about this, recently. That headline, as this writers, maintains planned overhaul has no National Assembly approval. Keyamo defends planned upgrade, gives details of facility refurbishment, declares Terminal 1 will be totally demolished, rebuilt, check slow coastal airport expansion modernization project globally. 712 billion naira, will be used to renovate that place. And of course, Nigerians are saying, is that not too much? This is coming particularly from the ADC. They are saying that amount is too much to actually renovate, the Lagos airport. And then Festus Keyamo has come out to actually defend that, to say that that is the right amount that we need to make the place look good and look better. Away from the story, let's also check this one that says, Nigeria produced 1.37 trillion SCF of gas and H1 fled 101 billion SCF. And that headline as is writers. Domestic gas sale rose 8.70%. Output represent considerable improvement over 2024 production. And speaking of, how much Nigerians buy gas now, and of course a lot of other things, I think it has increased, greatly, and I will look forward to, these coming down shortly. I also have this line on this day that says, I'll serve only one term of 4 years if voted president. Obi reaffirms. I think I spoke about this earlier. Obi is still saying I'm going to. And then I also read he was able to cite, some past leaders across the world, the likes of Abraham Lincoln and of course J.F. Kennedy. And then he said these people served one term and then they were cool with it. However, speaking of Abraham Lincoln, I think a few weeks into his second term, he died. He died. And of course, we cannot really say that, he did one term, because if he had not passed, he would have maybe finished the second term. And speaking of J.F. Kennedy, even before the end of his first tenure, he also died, he also passed. So these leaders, people are saying this comparison is really not it. They're talking about, the fact that people will be saying this international leaders were able to stay from one term. And they also cited an example of Mandela of South Africa, that he was able to stay just for one term. However, don't forget that Mandela was already exhausted, from the incarceration. Someone just came back from prison. And then when he was done with his first term, it was already 80 or 81 or thereabouts. So he had no interest in running for the second time. But take a look at Obi. Obi is still very young, probably is in his 60s. So people are saying, is it really possible for you to, do just one term and say bye-bye, to Aso Rock? Because it's not so clear to people. Someone even said that even if he decides to swear, they still will not believe that Obi can stay for just one term. Let's leave this day and, of course, cross to the blueprint. I have this headline that says, 2027, why Tinubu can't be unseated by any politician. That's coming from PDP chieftain Olujimi. Of course, I think members of the ADC do not quite agree with this claim that it is impossible to unseat the president come 2027, because a lot of persons said same, in 2015, that, you know what, you cannot unseat the People's Democratic Party. They've been ruling for the past 16 years. They have been able to consolidate on their power in the country. However, he left, and of course, APC came in. So I really do not see, we cannot say yet, never say never. Anything can happen, before 2027. 2027. Away from that story, let's also check this one that says motorists queue 10 hours for CNG, want infrastructure expansion. And I have this riders that says free kits cheaply sold out by taxi operators, reason for increased users. Federal government should ensure steady availability of gas. We are smiling home. Our daily take home has increased. That's coming from drivers. Interesting stories because there used to be a time where drivers would complain bitterly of the fact that when they buy the fuel and then they calculate how much they earn per day is nothing to write home about. But now they are saying we are smiling home. Our daily take home has increased. I mean, it's a good development. I just want to believe it's not at the expense of the passengers. Away from that, let's also check what's going on the Nigerian Tribune. I have this one that says, by elections, SDP kicks against rejection of candidates. It's for court, says decision illegal and unconstitutional. I think a lot is going on within the SDP. Speaking of rejection of the candidates, I think the Labour Party also has this issue. I saw a story surrounding the fact that Abu Raido is talking about, the fact that his candidates were rejected. I mean, INEC rejected his candidate, and then there's this tussle between who is the chairman, who is not the chairman. Abu Raido is still on the portal of INEC, and then Nando Usman has been declared interim chairman. A lot going on within these opposition parties. Also, another headline before we go, I have this one that says, find a job to do ahead of 2027. APC tells RFI. Your utterances distracting Tinubu. That's coming from the party. That's a serious one, looking at the fact that RFI used to be a member of the APC. He used to be a strong supporter of Bola Tinubu. And of course, things have changed over the few weeks or months. And then they are saying he should find a job. I do hope, and I know that he will get a job soon. Away from that, I have this headline that also say, experts question FEC's approval of 712 billion naira for airport upgrade. Renovation wasteful, misplaced priority. That's coming from ADC. A strategic investment in nation's aviation infrastructure. That's coming from KMO. I saw the picture, of that airport, and trust me, it's really not the best that we can have as a country. However, speaking about the amount that wants to be used, to renovate the place, that might be the bone of contention, not really the fact that renovation wants to take place. And of course, I think it's a good place to leave it this morning in terms of the major headlines. It's time to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about, some of the major stories extensively. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Ever dreamed of creating the next viral series or telling powerful stories on the big screen? This summer, your passion for TV can become a reality. Our TV Practical Summer Class is calling all future scriptwriters, producers, directors, video editors, reporters, news editors, and on-air personalities. Get hands-on training from industry professionals. Learn to shoot with professional cameras, master editing software, and produce your own content from start to finish. This isn't just a class. It's your launch pad. Don't just watch TV. Make it. Enroll now. Spaces are limited. Visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng or call the number 0706 777 9435 0706 777 9435. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
All right, I'll welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us. There's still Headlines analysis. Of course, I'm not alone in the studio. I have Afolabi, a public affairs analyst, who will help me make sense of some of the top stories this morning. Welcome on board.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here.
Of course, thank you for joining us. Let's start from this one that says experts question FEC's approval of 712 billion naira for airport upgrade. ADC is saying renovation wasteful, misplaced priority. Keyamo is saying it is strategic, it is an investment in the nation's aviation infrastructure. I saw the picture of the place and really there's nothing to write him about. But then this amount is what I have issues with. What do you make of the story?
Well, if we have been given accountability of all our spendings, especially in the airspace area, we will have not had this kind of criticism coming from left, right, and center, especially from the so-called coalition group or coalition party. It's amazing it is nice that we upgrade at time being our airport system such that we can be up to standard with international organizations and the likes, so that it can attract investors and at the same time give us rest for safety. Okay. But when you look at the price, when you look at the quotation, the budget, it's so alarming that when we ask if we want to start all over again, we want to remove and start all over again. But government knows how best to inflate their budgets in order to take care of so many other contingencies, so many other areas and factors. And especially to understand that we are in the era of politics, where politics is ticking right now and it's so hot that everybody will see whatever government is doing as an avenue to raise money for their own political strategies and stuff. So, and then Keyamo in the ends of affair, and the former APC chairman also in the ends of affair. You should understand that there will be blows right, left, and center. And I want to also believe that Nigeria needs to ask questions. Not only the political party, Nigeria should rise up and ask questions: who is taking this contract? How is this money going to be splitted? Which area are you investing into? Which area are you trying to correct? Yes, the area needs correction, but where? Because this is not the first time we are upgrading our airport system. During the last the era of late President Muhammadu Buhari, we upgraded it. We saw what we was putting in. They also brought out money. They wanted to do this. They wanted to do that. But are all those things been done? Any report from what they've done in the past? Can we get to know the areas at which they have done perfectly well? And this one that they want to do now is not going into that particular place again, because you don't understand government when they say they are putting up an upgrade and people just kept quiet, and you see them procurement for laptops at which they also already bought last year. Are you buying laptops every year? Are we doing the wrong way every year? Are we upgrading the cameras every year? These are what we need to ask ourselves about. And that is where many people will question the quotations, the budget for this upgrade. I personally question it. I make my voice known on the social media, and I personally put it there that it's nothing bad to upgrade, but it's so bad when we don't question and there's no accountability. Okay,
speaking of Nigerians talking, I think Nigerians have been talking before now, if you check social media. But then the voices of Nigerians, does it really make for an argument? I mean, let's take a look at, the ICC, for instance, that President Wike renovated. That venue was used for an event just recently, and then people complained bitterly about the fact that even the AC
is not working.
It's not working. So is it about, the Nigerians now? Because regardless of what Nigerians might say, the government must still take some actions. But then let's talk about the FEC. Let's talk about the bodies that regulate or approve those monies.
That is where I talk about where we need to get to know what has been done before. What are the things that are they have upgraded to a perfect standard? And it should not be a duplication of such kind of areas duplicating itself in this present budget that they are proposing or approving for the upgrades, so that we know that, okay, they've done a particular studio that will monitor the airspace, and that has been perfectly done last year. It will not be taken care of again in this correct bill, or budget that they are doing. And then talking about Nigerians voicing out, we have a kind of leadership in Nigeria. We are the voice for people that doesn't matter anymore. They tend to believe in whatever they want to do, and they take politics first, regardless of whoever that is talking. And I want to, we can't just talk, we can't just keep quiet. We keep talking to make sure that they, at least for a time, we come when our voice will be heard. And that is just my belief.
All right, I look forward to a system, I mean, and that light that you have just explained. Let's talk about Peter Obi. And then over the weekend, they came out to reaffirm his stance that, you see, I'm going to contest. If I should win the election, I'm going to rule for just one term, and I will give room for another person. And he cited the likes of Abraham Lincoln of United States, and of course, J.F. Kennedy, and also Nelson Mandela of South Africa, saying this man, I mean, stayed for just one term, even though I have issues, I mean, with those examples, because I feel Abraham Lincoln, few weeks into his second time, he died. And of course, J.F. Kennedy too, I mean, few weeks or few months, he didn't even finish his first time in the office. And of course, Nelson Mandela was quite old. I mean,
I couldn't continue again.
Exactly. So what do you make of this? Because people are saying it's not that easy. Peter Obi, don't forget, there was a time he said, I will not leave APGA. I watched the video. He eventually left APGA for PDP. He left PDP for Labour Party. And there are claims I might even leave Labour Party for the ADC.
Yes, yeah. Let's talk about first the 6 years of one-time agenda. It was first moved by the former president Goodluck Jonathan. Okay. You understand that the Nigerian country political elite is so big that everybody wants to be part and parcel of the government, and they felt that if we really want to do something good, nice, 6 years should be enough for us, from the presidency to the governorship, the seat, that's the assembly, the rep, to perfectly do what we want to do. And at that time, we will have enough time to quickly rotate wherever we want to rotate to and get it stabilized. Yes, it will be very good. But the truth about the matter is, when they get to a party, they change who they are. I've known people who are so humble that you can pull their clothes and they will not say anything until they get to that part, to that seat. When you get to that power, you see the kind of person, you see another different person. You know, it's just like you ruling a company and everything is at your own leisure. You decide the food, you decide everything, and you see them, you know, becoming bigger than even the traditional rulers, the people that the elite, the people that voted them in, bigger than their society, bigger than everything, and that is our problem here in Nigeria. And I want to believe that yes, Obi will be talking about leave a one-time party, and also that he felt that if this is done, it will make peace. Yes, it may make peace, but the fact that nothing is constant. That was why you could leave APGA to PDP and PDP to Labour Party. And Labour Party, I can see Obi leaving Labour Party right now to ADC. So,
but then the ticket is not sure for him in the ADC. We have Atiku.
Atiku is the main man behind the ADC. And I want to believe if Atiku contests, is a smooth ground for Tinubu second time winning life.
Even if Obi
if Atiku should get that ticket at ADC and Obi lost out from the ADC, you know, Obi will be coming out from a more smaller party like Labour Party. ADC right now is looking like PDP, where you have the major opposition.
You think the Labour Party is small? It was able to garner 6 million votes. I mean, that's the first trial.
That's the first trial. You know, what gave the room for that was so much crisis within the PDP. And the
PDP is still in crisis.
They're still in crisis because they already have a crisis problem person within the party. And the people who control more areas in PDP have left for ADC. Check out all the states. Check out Southwest states too. You know, it's happening. But I want to tell you.
What about Wike? Wike is in PDP.
Wike is not in PDP. Wike is in PDAPC.
That's serious.
Yeah, that's just it.
But then he said, you know, when the likes of Atiku and a host of others left PDP, he said we are happy to the fact that they've left the party.
Wike can't be in PDP and still be working for APC. That is the problem that PDP is having right now. Until Wike is totally and his group totally out of that party may not see the light of the day.
And don't you think that's difficult? Because some persons, I think Dele Momodu said, Wike is the major stakeholder of the party.
Because he's funding the party.
Exactly.
So he become a major stakeholder. What about those people at the grassroots? Who determine the vote of the party? That is where they get it wrong. Is it these people? These are the problems of Nigerian political elites. They felt they are the sole owner. But some people are at the local and the grassroots, the wards, the units. You need to see these people who passionately love the party, who has worked tremendously, who have suffered, who has labored for the party. They are the owner of the party. Not those people at the ends of affair. We felt their decision is final. The likes of Wike is the problem of that party. until they see it beyond that. If Wike is not out of that party, I can say it anywhere, PDP will remain where it is. It may be even worse than last election. I tell you.
Really, I don't see Wike leaving the party soon.
That is deliberate. He was planted there. It's deliberate to be in that place so that he can become a mole in the party. Yeah.
You have said it was planted, but there was a time Wike did not even support anything APC, anything Tinubu. I mean, until he was appointed as a minister.
That is where I tell you about power. When they get that power, you see a different person. You see a different person. I know of a person here in Oyo State before he gets into power, very humble. Knock on that door, even if he's sleeping, he will wake up. Immediately get to that power, change his side. You can't even check him. You can't even call him. You have his number, it's already deleted.
Okay, you mentioned something when you were talking about Obi, and you said that if Atiku should run as the flag bearer
for ADC,
they cannot win the election.
What
if Peter Obi runs
that
ADC?
That would be a contender. You know, Peter Obi is coming out from the south.
Yeah.
Tinubu is coming from the south. The south vote already.
Southeast.
South is north. We have those two, okay. North and south.
Okay.
Nigeria is divided into two.
Yes,
before that division, okay. North and south. Okay. So if south is producing Tinubu and Obi, okay. And the north is supporting either Tinubu or Obi, then the election will be so tight for who will become the president. But if Atiku is coming from the north and the south is producing Tinubu, then everybody will gather strength for Tinubu to win the election.
Boy, it's got tight.
I tell you, and Atiku already losing out from his credibility in the north. And those people who have gathered, that is when you see those who he has gathered around him to be losing out too. Tinubu is also a politician. He's a political mathematician.
But he has the help of the likes of Rufai. I mean, who is a very strong person in the north. And then there are claims that, I mean, members of the CPC who joined to form, I mean, the coalition of the APC in 2015 might move to ADC.
They are already in ADC. They don't need to tell us they might move to ADC. They are already in ADC.
Is that not an advantage for Atiku?
It's not an advantage still. Okay. If Atiku is coming from the north, because the south, it is an agreement that after 8 years, south will rule again. It's an agreement. That was why it's an agreement. It may not be written in the constitution. Immediately north is done with their 8 years, south will come up with their 8 years. Wherever it is coming out from south, either southeast or southwest, the thing is it is coming from the south. Check, you understand me?
Okay.
What Jonathan did was to complete that era of Yar'Adua. It was the time for Yar'Adua to complete. It was the northern time to complete. And that was one of the noise and the campaign gimmicks they used against him to take him out of government.
That brought Buhari in.
Yeah, brought Buhari in. Among so many other things, which include crisis. Which include so many other crises that we don't need to start mentioning here. But the truth of the matter is that Jonathan is out. As soon as that guy is out, Buhari came in 8 years. Then if it has completed his 8 years, South must complete their 8 years. Either bringing somebody from goat party, chicken party, whichever party, they must complete their. So if you want to get Tinubu out of hatred or whatever format, you bring out somebody else from that same South. And you know we have those southwest and southeast. And Tinubu right now is going around all the southwest, southeast to make sure that he buys in everybody. We saw what he did in southeast. He has just been given a chief secretary title in the southeast, and he's already making them their son and leaders, giving them the very vital portfolio. For the first time, they have minister for transportation from the southeast, and the man is performing. And people are seeing it. So if you want to bring out somebody from the north, you need to understand that Nigeria will not vote in that direction.
Okay, let's talk about this. Over the weekend, Festus Keyamo said something very important. He said that trick, or let me say that system that ADC is trying to play, is no longer in vogue. He said they are trying to play 419 with Nigeria and saying that, okay, Nigerians are sovereign, there's poverty in the land. And of course, I want to ask you, looking at what Obi did in Anambra State for 8 years, do you think he has the capacity to lead Nigeria better than what APC is doing now?
Every person in Nigeria, as long as you are a Nigerian, capable of who you are capable of leading Nigeria.
Really? But we need to look at what you have done in the past.
Wait, my sister. Looking at what they have done in the past, if you look at what Buhari has done in the past, Buhari does not even you don't deserve to be the president. If that is what you want to tell me. For me, that is my opinion.
On what basis?
For me,
do you say that?
He came in as a coup the third person as under his military era, he was not the one leading. We know of Tunde Diagbon leading that while he was there.
Okay.
We know his strength. People don't understand his weakness because before he got there. But the thing of the matter is that you as the president, you only need a responsible and responsive cabinet members that will make things work when you make decisions. That is what you need. Like I tell people, anybody can be governor of Lagos State. Anybody. You don't need to have been anybody, as long as you have the capacity in you and the willpower to perform, to make the right decision at the right time.
But you must have gone through some positions in the country to say that, okay, based on this,
okay,
we want to elect you.
Okay, do you need to have a PhD?
I'm not talking about education now.
What do you need?
Of course, you need to have a good degree and, of course, be intelligent.
My brother, what you need to be is the mental capacity.
Okay.
The mental capacity of who you know you are and how you best you want to bring out your decisions. That is just and the cabinet members that will be responsible and be responsive to your decisions. That is what you need. Nigeria is big. It is not the only president, not the president alone that is determined. We have permanent secretaries in the federal cabinets. We have the NGOs. We have many people. We have so many ministries that you need them to just be on their foot and get things done.
The president is at the apex of it all.
Yes, that is where his mental alertness must be working.
All right.
Yes.
I think it's a good place to leave it. And of course, you've been able to make your mark on that it doesn't matter what the person does in the past, the person can rule. Though I have a counter opinion to that. But this conversation will definitely continue. Thank you for being a part of the show. Afolabi.
Thank you for having me here.
Public Affairs Analyst. And of course, we look forward to, slogging this topic out next time.
So I'll come around anytime.
Thank you for joining. All right, it's a good place to leave it this morning. Thank you for being a part of the show. My name is Oluwayemi Adelakun. Please stay with us. Big story will come up soon.
Ever dreamed of creating the next virus series or telling powerful stories on the big screen? This summer, your passion for TV can become a reality. Our TV Practical Summer Class is calling all future scriptwriters, producers, directors, video editors, reporters, news editors, and on-air personalities. Get hands-on training from industry professionals. Learn to shoot with professional cameras, master editing software, and produce your own content from start to finish. This isn't just a class, it's your launch pad. Don't just watch TV. Make it. Enroll now. Spaces are limited. Visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng or call the number 0706 777 9435 0706 777 9435. Dominion Television, your channel of choice. Ever dreamed of creating the next viral series or telling powerful stories on the big screen? This summer, your passion for TV can become a reality. Our TV Practical Summer Class is calling all future scriptwriters, producers, directors, video editors, reporters, news editors, and on-air personalities. Get hands-on training from industry professionals. Learn to shoot with professional cameras, master editing software, and produce your own content from start to finish. This isn't just a class, it's your launch pad. Don't just watch TV, make it. Enroll now. Spaces are limited. Visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng or call the number 0706 777 9435 0706 777 9435. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to The Big Story on Daybreak Live, your trusted source for unpacking the most important conversations shaping our nation. Today, we zero in on a truth that's often overlooked but deeply damaging intellectual property theft in Nigeria. As creators cry out over stolen works and innovators struggle to protect their ideas, the question becomes how do we stop this intellectual drain? Joining us today is a frontline expert in this battle, Oluwafemi Ajala, Head of Operations at the Nigerian Copyright Commission, NCC, Abuja. Together, we will explore the scope of the problem, the systems in place, and the real roads to safeguarding creative ownership in Nigeria. Samson Balogun is my name, and thank you for tuning in. Now, from Nollywood films pirated before their release date, to software solutions copied and rebranded, intellectual property theft is robbing Nigerians of credit, compensation, and confidence. While Nigeria boasts a wealth of creativity, from tech innovation to music, literature, art, and fashion, enforcement of copyright laws remains weak and inconsistent. Today, as we engage with Oluwafemi Ajala, we will uncover the reality behind ideas, examine high-profile cases, and assess whether the Nigerian Copyright Commission is equipped to protect creators. What role does how far can enforcement go? And what policies must change for Nigeria to truly respect the minds behind its progress? Good morning once again. It is no longer news. There are some Nigerians, or some people, let me put it that way, they are hell-bent on destroying other people simply by stealing their ideas, copywriting whatever it is they are provided. No credit. And of course, where do we go from here? I'm joined by Oluwafemi Ajala this morning. Oluwafemi, good morning to you. Okay. There are questions we have to ask ourselves as Nigerians. Instead of being the one that steals someone else's idea, of course, Nigeria is one place that is blessed with people of great minds. If we begin to count Nigerians who have excelled in their fields, you know that we can't finish all that today. In fact, 24 hours is not enough, because Nigeria is blessed. What exactly is the Nigerian Copyright Commission doing to make sure that people of great minds, their efforts are not sabotaged? If you go online, there used to be platforms. Of course, there are still platforms where you get movies that has not even been released. But as a consumer, you also played a part in destroying people who have actually spent so much money to produce these movies. We're not just talking about movies. How about music? You get to download music that you don't even pay for. How about arts? How about tech? Someone sat down for months to create a software, and then all of a sudden, you are using it for free, and you are a consumer. How about when we turn the table? You are the brain behind the software. You are the guru behind the new music video we are seeing. Or you are the music artist. And then someone sits down somewhere to use your product, your job, without paying you a dime. How will you feel? These and more we'll talk about on this show this morning. Still waiting on Oluwafemi Ajala to join us. But then, some of the questions you are going to ask him. Do we still have legal protection that currently exists in Nigeria for intellectual property owners? Does the Nigerian Constitution or the bylaws of the NCC, does it protect intellectual property owners in one way or the other? And then what punishment is there for those who violate those rules, Constitution? These are things we'll talk about this morning. Good morning to you, Oluwafemi Ajala. Hello. Okay, looks like the network is still a little bit shaky. All right.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
All right.
And good morning, Nigerian and listeners.
All right. Good to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure being here this morning.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Now, I want to ask you this question.
My pleasure.
I want to ask you a very important question this morning. Now, what legal protection is currently available to protect property owners in Nigeria, intellectual property owners in Nigeria? Do we have a legal framework that protects them? And what punishment is there for people who steal ideas?
Thank you so much. Good morning once again. It's nice being on the show, and it's my pleasure being here this morning. The law governing copyright in Nigeria is so versatile, and the law was reviewed, and a new law, the Nigerian Copyright Act 2022, was enacted into law on the 17th of March 2023. And this law has adequate and numerous provisions for the provision of the creative economy, that is, to protect the intellectual property of creators of work on 6 broad categories. And when we say 6 broad categories, we mean literary works, musical works, artistic works, audiovisual, which we normally call cinematography, that is the cinemas. And we'll talk about artistic works. And the last but not the least is broadcasts. So there are adequate provisions in this law to protect the creators.
Okay, now, some say the rules are weak.
That was established for 3 basic things. The law that we are talking about now, the Act 2023, gives the Commission the power to administer the law, gives the Nigerian Copyright Commission the powers to enforce even the law. And equally, you will agree that the Nigerian Copyright Commission basically does not create works. However, when complaints come to us, the Nigerian Copyright Commission swiftly attend to such complaints. And I'll give you an instance. The traditional way of infringing on creators' rights, you'll agree with me, with the advent of technology now has moved dramatically from the normal physical to the online space at this time. And the Nigerian Copyright Commission is also abreast of this happening at this moment. To that extent, most recently, about 3-4 weeks ago, the Nigerian Copyright Commission swiftly acted by instructing backbone and internet service providers to bring down some infringing and offending sites. Amongst them is a popular one called Net Niger and the Movie Box, where not only musical work or audiovisual work that is called cinema was prevalent, you find that literary works, books, textbooks, journals are also online now, free of charge, without recourse, without authorization or the consent of the right owner.
Okay, are you still there?
I'm here with you.
All right. Now, if all these rules are in place, if there's a new act, 2022 enacted in 2023, if they are in place, why does it seem easy for some Nigerians or some people, perpetrators, to get away with copyright infringement in the country?
Yes, thank you so much for that intervention. As I said earlier, the work of the Commission is based on complaints from the right owners.
Okay.
The industry is somehow so large that the Commission cannot just assume that a work is being infringed if there is no complaint. But I can tell you that where there's complaint, the Commission swiftly acts and intervenes as the law permits. Why seemingly it may look as if the Commission is not acting is sometimes there are some agreements between the right owner and the users of the work, which the Commission may be oblivious of. But where there is a complaint that I did not give my consent, neither did I authorize this person to use my work in any form, the Commission will swiftly act accordingly.
All right, thank you for staying tuned. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. I have been engaging Oluwafemi Ajala, who is the head of operations NCC in Abuja. Right, now I want to ask now, because there are insinuations that the newly enacted law, that there is a loophole, or probably there are loopholes, and then some people are hiding under that to perpetrate evil, and of course still ideas infringe on rights of some people, especially the original owners of this work we're talking about. Then, if there are loopholes, is the NCC pushing for reform as we speak to make sure that the new law also gets reformed in one way or the other, to make sure that as people are getting wiser, the NCC is also moving a step ahead to nip it in the bud before it even happens?
Yes, thank you so much. When you look at Section 44 of the Copyright Law, it has adequate provisions that cuts across the genre of means by which people infringe on other people's rights. That Section 44 talks about the criminal liability. However, a beauty of this new law, which every other country has applauded as very innovative and very apt for all situations, is this is about the only law in Nigeria that I know of that adequately caters for the criminal as well as the civil liability. The civil liability is on the part of the right owner, where your right is infringed. You have the right to go to court to seek for damages, while the criminal liability is an offense against the state. So the Copyright Commission that is saddled with this responsibility goes to court and files criminal charges against even the offending party. You will agree that there is no law that is perfect. However, to a large extent, the Commission is looking at ways and means of perfecting the law as events unfold.
All right, now let's break it down a little bit. Do you think Nigerians truly understand what intellectual property theft really means? Hello?
Well, okay. This is one of the forum. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Yes. The fourth realm, this program is about enlightening and educating members of the public. And the Nigerian Copyright Commission so much appreciates this opportunity to showcase the copyright issues, even in Nigeria. So to that extent, the Commission relies on the fourth realm in the society to also help in educating and enlightening members of the public that there are adequate provisions in the law to fight their cause. That's on one hand. On the other hand, this law, this new law that we have that came into force in 2023, also has provision for right owners to register even their works. The registration of their works gives them a prima facie evidence of ownership on such works. So I will encourage Nigerians out there to tap into this provision of the law by registering their work. And you can do that in the comfort of your room. You don't necessarily have to go to any of our 13 offices spread across the length and breadth of the nation. All you need to do is just to go on our website at www.eregistration.copyright.gov.ng.
Now, are there monetary requirements? Because as an average creator, they might be looking at the area of, we might be asked to pay a certain amount of money, and that's where some of them are actually holding back. Because I've seen upcoming creators struggle with ideas, people who steal their ideas, and they have actually done virtually nothing about it.
I will encourage such creators to approach any of our offices and lay its complaint. However, the registration is just a token of 10,000 naira.
Okay. Now, there's a question which a viewer actually sent, which I want to ask you this morning, and I'll put it directly the way it has been sent. They said Nollywood and the Nigerian music industry are among the most affected by piracy. And what has it been, why has it been so hard to tackle to this end? Because I've seen...
thank you, and I appreciate the question.
I've seen movies, people...
Okay.
I've seen movies being produced, and then cinema standard movies, and someone somewhere decided to sit down, put cinema standard movies, 4 or 5 of them, in one CD and sell for just 200 naira. That's an injustice to someone who actually spent so much money to produce this movie.
Yes. You're very correct, Mr. Presenter. And the observation by one of the viewers may to a large extent be correct. As I informed earlier in the program, the Commission is doing its best to run down these nefarious activities. You will agree with me that it's something you can, after this program, go online. There is this notorious website called netniger.com. You have live broadcasts of soccer matches, films, books without the authorization of the owner. We have another one called moviebox.niger. As I speak with you, those websites are being brought down. they have been blocked. Nigerians can no longer have access to watch free cinemas, free films, or listen to music. And where there is complaint, as I said earlier, the Nigerian Copyright Commission is up to the task, both physically and technological-wise, and in cooperation with other sister agencies. The Commission is doing its best to nip the cankerworm of piracy, even in the bud.
All right. Now, what are the key challenges the NCC faces in enforcement? Funding, manpower, technology, or legal hurdles?
To a very large extent, the Nigerian Copyright Commission is being assisted by the federal government of Nigeria to do and carry out its responsibility. However, more could be done. The Commission will need the cooperation of everyone, both the right owners, the creators, the society at large, even in the battle to bring the incidences of piracy to the merest minimum. You will agree that crime moves sometimes faster than here. But as the criminals are engaging in their nefarious activity, the Nigerian Copyright Commission is also deploying all the resources. And I would need to appreciate all our sister agencies here, the Department of State Security, the NIA, the police, civil defense, and many more that I cannot mention here on this show. They deploy their resources also because to a very large extent, this is economic sabotage. And if these activities are not checked, it will stifle creativity if it does not knock out creativity, even in Nigeria. So the Commission is doing its best in the circumstances to carry out its mandates to the letter. Thank you.
Now, are there cases where NCC efforts were thwarted due to political interference or lack of cooperation from other agencies? Though you mentioned just recently that you have been receiving cooperation from other agencies, but then are there situations where your efforts at the NCC was thwarted due to political interference?
Not anyone that I can remember. The political class has assisted the Commission in no small measure. You will agree with me, the budget provision of the Commission before now was a little bit challenging. But under the renewed hope agenda, the Commission budgetary allocation has increased tremendously. And as I mentioned earlier, we've enjoyed fantastic cooperation from other sister law enforcement agencies in Nigeria.
All right. Now, how equipped is the NCC technologically to battle and confront the current issue of intellectual property theft in the country?
Yes, you mean the online digital piracy?
Yes, because there are other, aside from the two you mentioned, there are other platforms out there. I could remember there was a time where movies are uploaded on Telegram platforms and then people go there to download. Now, how equipped is the NCC to make sure that they sniff these acts even before it begins to happen?
Thank you so much, Mr. Presenter. As I mentioned to you earlier, you know, the copyright sphere, it's dynamic in the sense that we have some creators who, for the sake of trying to sell their works or make themselves known, unwittingly upload their works on some of these platforms that you are talking about, that we are mentioning here. And the Commission cannot or may be hampered from bringing down a site or a particular work which the owner unwittingly and unknowingly uploaded for the general public to view. So the Commission you would agree with me, can be sued and be sued also. The commission sues and can be sued. So we tread on the part of caution where there is no complaint. But I can assure you, where there is any complaint about the unauthorized uploading of works, the commission will swiftly act and bring down such offending websites.
Now,
that we have done in the past, that we are doing at the moment.
Now, let me get this clear. For a creator that has not registered a particular product or an idea which is currently in the market, and then for that, in one way or the other, there is intellectual property theft, will the agency still swift into action to make sure that this person gets justice?
Oh, thank you so much. I need to clarify. Yeah. Registration of your work is not compulsory.
Okay.
It is not a requirement of the law that you must register your work before the Nigerian Copyright Commission acts on your behalf. Where the work has been created and it meets the eligibility provision of the law, the Copyright Commission would assist such creator or right owner to fight for his right, whether it is registered with us or not registered.
All right. And how is the NCC collaborating with international organizations or other countries to protect Nigerian intellectual property globally?
Thank you so much. The Nigerian Copyright Commission, as a federal government agency body, belongs to a committee of intellectual property organizations all over the world under the umbrella of a United Nations-based agency called World Intellectual Property Organization. And one cardinal provision of being part of that agency is what is called reciprocal cooperation and agreement. The Nigerian Copyright Commission sometimes, when we go on enforcement drive, we find works of foreign artists or creator at such locations, though despite the fact that the complaint was a local complaint. The Nigerian Copyright Commission does not shy away from such work. Based on the reciprocal agreement, we do impound such work, carry out our investigation, and contact the owner of the works, wherever they might be. And ditto for Nigeria also. And on another angle, we have what we call collecting societies. Right now in Nigeria, we have 3 registered, authentic CMOs, that is collective management organizations, that belong to global bodies all over the world also, the CSAC of this world, and there are reciprocal cooperation between these countries, where the works of foreign artists and actors or creators are used in Nigeria. This CMO collects royalties on their behalf and remits such to the countries where those creators are domiciled. And it's on record that Nigerian artists also, whose works are being used outside the shores of Nigeria, get royalty in the same respect. So where there's a complaint about a Nigerian work being used abroad in an authorized manner or without the consent of the right owner, where we get such complaints, the Nigerian Copyright Commission does act. And I'll give you an instance. There are so many complaints we have about some works being uploaded on Amazon. Amazon is a company based in the United States of America. And through the intervention of the commission, such works have been removed from the stable of Amazon, just to mention one amongst the many.
All right. Now, what policy changes or legislative reforms are urgently needed to improve intellectual property protection in the country? Is there any that you think you can think of?
Well, as of now, this law that we have, as you agree with me, was just passed 2 years ago. And to a large extent, it still suffices for the country. However, there are always room for improvement. So where the commission sees a lacuna or a missing gap, we'll be quick to act and seek the blessings of the National Assembly and the presidency on how to reform even the law. But I can tell you what we have now is adequate for the country.
So as a follow-up to that question, what I asked earlier, with the rise of AI and digital content creation, how is the NCC preparing for new reforms of intellectual property theft in the country? You know, AI is taking over.
Thank you.
We are having so much content being created without even showing your face. You have created all this content through AI. So is the NCC also bracing up to, to this challenge?
Thank you so much. As we speak, those formidable or popular websites that I said was brought down wasn't only through the efforts of the Nigerian government. It was a collaboration, both within the country and outside the country. So we leverage on technology within and without the borders of this country. So the Copyright Commission is abreast of the advent of the new innovations that we have in the technological sphere at this moment.
All right, then what advice would you give to young creators, especially in rural areas, on how to legally protect their ideas and works?
Okay, that's a nice question. As I earlier alluded to, young creators unwittingly and knowingly give away their works because they want to be known and they want to quickly become popular. My advice to even those in the urban areas is your work is your intellectual property, your creation. As you treat your common cell phone, that you don't carelessly leave your cell phone anywhere. I will encourage creators to also guard jealously their works. Don't give your work out on the platter of nothing. I need to say this. The Nigerian Copyright Commission is open to counsel. Okay. We give counsel to as many creators that approach the office without paying for such advice, for such counsel. The legal department will offer legal assistance free where need be. And also we have model contracts that upcoming artists can take advantage of. These model contracts give a fair idea to creators of work on how to formulate agreements between them and investors in their work.
Okay, now, lastly, before we go, let me ask you this question. Can Nigeria ever truly win the battle against intellectual property theft, or is it a war of attribution?
The Nigerian Copyright Commission is capable. And I mentioned earlier in our discussion that the country has one of the most dynamic law that is incomparable to most countries. We've been engaged on the international sphere when we attend conferences, seminars, trainings, and capacity building interventions abroad. Many countries, including the leading countries of the world, applaud the copyright law that Nigeria has at the moment.
All right, thank you, Oluwafemi Ajala, for joining us on the show this morning.
Pleasure mine.
All right, Oluwafemi Ajala is the head of operations, NCC Abuja, and of course he has been my guest on this edition of The Big Story on Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Now, ideas are currency. in the 21st century. And when stolen, the consequences ripple far beyond the creator. As we have heard from my guest this morning, Oluwafemi Ajala, who is the head of Operations NCC Abuja, the fight against intellectual property theft is ongoing. But with stronger enforcement, better education, and a collective cultural shift, we can start to win this war. To every creator out there, or inventor, and thinker out there, protect your ideas, speak up, and know that your voice matters. And to our policymakers and citizens alike, the time to act is now. This isn't just a legal issue, it's a national development priority. Thank you for joining us on The Big Story this morning. Until next time, tomorrow, stay informed, stay inspired. Samson Balogun is my name.
Ever dreamed of creating the next virus series or telling powerful stories on the big screen? This summer, your passion for TV can become a reality. Our TV Practical Summer Class is calling all future scriptwriters, producers, directors, video editors, reporters, news editors, and on-air personalities. Get hands-on training from industry professionals. Learn to shoot with professional cameras, master editing software, and produce your own content from start to finish. This isn't just a class. It's your launch pad. Don't just watch TV, make it. Enroll now. Spaces are limited. Visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng or call the number 0706 777 9435 0706 777 9435. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome back from that short break. This show is still Daybreak live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. Now we are straight to Trend Watch. As you know, we don't do this alone. Of course, Yemi Adelakun is still here. With that, we'll be making sense of trends on social media. But don't forget to keep the conversation going. Link up with us on all socials, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast. On X, formerly Twitter, it is at Dominion Cast. You can watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do well to do that. And of course, drop your comment there. Watch us live and of course, be a part of this show. Now, Yemi Adelakun, welcome back.
Thank you and well done. Of course, we have the story this morning, a very interesting one. And this is not the first time that I'll read something on this particular person. Speaking of Kemi Badenoch, and then she says something over the weekend. She said, I don't identify with Nigeria anymore. And then, of course, she said also that, she does not see herself as part of Nigeria anymore, regardless of the fact that, she lived here for quite, a number of years before she moved back, to the UK. And of course, in the reading here, she also said, I think the reason that I came back here was actually a very sad one, and it was that my parents thought there's no future for you in this country, she explained. And of course, she was born in Wimbledon, southwest of London, and then this 45-year-old woman, over the time will always come out to say some things about Nigeria that are not quite, cool. Of course, Nigerians have also mentioned that. I just think that this is who Kemi is. Regardless of anything that wants to happen, expect more from Kemi. She has never, been in a position where she will have to hide her feelings about what she has gone through. She also said, while she was in boarding school, secondary school, I think she mentioned Shagam, she said she had to cut grass, wash the toilet, and of course she feels, that was a very bad experience for her, looking at the fact that Nigeria is not really working. Imagine many years ago if she felt that way about Nigeria. What if she decides to come to Nigeria in 2025? I wonder what a comment would be. And then Nigerians are saying, okay, you are doing well for yourself in the UK, you married a Scottish man. However, can you tone it down a bit in terms of the way you speak about Nigeria? Nigeria is still your country. Your parents are Nigerians. But Kemi doesn't see the issue like that.
Well, I think she feels, well, because she was born, abroad, born in the UK, that means that, she's no longer a Nigerian. She doesn't want to identify with Nigeria again. But then I want to put it this way. As much as Nigerians or Nigeria would want to identify with people of Nigerian descent who are doing so well out there, I think for over 200 million Nigerians, about 250 as estimated, Nigeria is more or less like what the Yorubas will call Oja Oyigbo, that doesn't know that someone somewhere decided not to come to the market. So regardless of how worse she feels about Nigeria, I think Nigeria's talent still abounds in Nigeria, greatness abounds in Nigeria. There are so many people who are, a lot better than Kemi Badenoch who are still going to come out of Nigeria. So for me, I don't think, our identification with Nigeria validates anything about the country. If she wants to be, far away from the country, I think she has the right to do that. I think that's her opinion and that's her thought. But then there are other people who, regardless of their successes, they have recorded in their careers, they still want to be Nigerians. Take, for example, players in the Super Falcons, Super Eagles. Some of them they have excelled in their fields out there in Europe, America, wherever it is they have played, and then they still want to be a part of the country. They want to be, recognized as Nigerians. So I think if we are getting that, I think we are okay. One person cannot say, oh, because I'm this, and then all Nigerians should be sad about it. Well, Kemi Badenoch, if you are hearing this, it's still your opinion. It's what you want to be. And I don't think Nigerians really care about what she has to say. As long as, whichever light she has painted Nigeria, whether bad or good, if the Nigerian, system is up to it to make sure that, we have this world outlook that favors the country, whatever it is she has to say really does not count for me.
Don't you see it this way? Because of the position that she holds in UK and that she's a very popular person, a lot of persons might not even try to verify some of the things she says about Nigeria. They'll just take it, like a straight jacket. So I think some of the things she says is actually not good, for Nigeria.
There's no way to stop Kemi now.
Exactly.
There's no way to stop Kemi. She will always say something.
That's why
that's why I'm saying the Nigerian government should be up and doing. When it comes to, I think when she talked about immigration law, the Nigerian immigration law, I think the Nigerian government also came out to say, look, whatever this thing you have said is a total lie. The Nigerian constitution is there. You can go through it and see that, look, this is what Nigeria is about and not what she said. So if you can be able to counter that, because I don't see anybody convincing Kemi to back down. She will continue to do this she's doing. But then the position she holds is temporary. A time will come that Kemi Badenoch will not be, be there, and someone else will come on board. So she should use that position quite well now. And then, posterity will judge everyone, regardless of where we are from, what we do, and who we are.
And speaking of the fact that Nigerians don't care, Nigerians might not care, but I think it affects us one way or the other. And do you know there was a time she even said that as a woman, you cannot transfer your citizenship to your children, but then a man can do that. People have to come out to actually say that, no, that's not right. So I really do not appreciate some of the things that she says, because I feel I care. Nigeria is our country, so because you cannot continue to say some of those things and then in international spheres, CNN and then the likes, and then we say that, okay, you are your person. No, it shouldn't be like that. People should not be excused, because of the positions that they hold. They should be brought, they should be accountable for some of the things that they say, regardless of the fact that, you're in UK and you're doing very well for yourself. Can you pipe down on some of the things that you say, because they definitely affect us.
That is why, the Nigerian government has to be up and doing. If Nigeria is, let's say, for example, like the UK in terms of development, I don't think Kemi will be out there saying what she's saying now. And that's exactly why the government should actually do what is necessary, focus on education, focus on the health sector, because we realize the fact that, the moment Nigerians travel abroad, for education, for health, it actually, waters down the effort of Nigerian doctors, waters down the education system in the country, and then they begin to see us as a serious set of people. Now, Nigerians will feel the heat quite all right, because the immigration law in the UK or other countries will not smile on any Nigerian with what she's saying.
Do you know that some of the things she says are actually true?
They are. That's why I'm saying, as a Nigerian, to be a good ambassador out there.
Yeah.
So if whatever you find yourself, don't you know, let what Kemi says be actually true. You know,
and I also think, I understand her to an extent. I think she's engrossed in the kind of, you know, a situation she has been exposed to in Nigeria, I mean, while she stayed here before she went back to the UK.
I think
she also mentioned a case with how maybe the policeman, one policeman, you know, assaulted her brother or something. So issues like that, I mean, if you are the type... She
was traumatized when she was in Nigeria.
Exactly.
And then this is the time for the outpouring. She's only coming out to say things that she experienced.
See, I tell you, for people who have tasted life over there, let me give you an example. There was a man that traveled just recently. He's not even up to a year. When he called home and he was saying, why do we even pray? Because the things that we pray for in Nigeria
they're
are
readily available.
If you have tasted that life, and honestly, if you are not careful, you get angry when you come to Nigeria.
What you just said happened to a friend of mine who went to Canada. He has been in Canada for just 1 year, 6 months. And I can tell you for a fact that he no longer does his salat 5 times in a day. Because he feels it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Because some of the things he practically prays for was provided for by the government. So he feels, oh, what I want to do now is just pray for long life. That's what he told me. I'm only praying for long life to enjoy what it is I'm gathering now. So,
However, looking at that, I understand that to an extent because of some of the things that she has gone through in the country. She can be diplomatic with words.
Just tone it down a little bit.
Diplomacy works all the time. I mean, you can be diplomatic and say some of these things in a better way so that it won't look as if Nigeria is bad.
Be constructive about it.
Exactly.
Well, let's take the comments before we go on this show. I think to Canada says you will forever get asked where are you originally from, and that will never be the UK. I mean, that's true.
I think that's very solid.
That's solid. See, no matter how well they have given you the right to be in their country, you will always be a second-class citizen. And I think that's the only comments we can take.
You don't even know what these people have in stock for you.
For you.
Exactly.
So until that time, you don't know what will happen. But Kemi, you are still a Nigerian.
Just like the way some politicians should do it, they will play safe. I mean, I'm in this party, I'm in that party. One leg in, one leg out. In case anything happens there, I can move to the other side. But Kemi is very straight and blunt.
We have to go. That's the only comments we can take this morning. Our time is fast spent on this show. We say very big thank you for everyone that has been a part of the show so far. All right, thank you for being with us this morning, for spending your morning with us. Don't forget, you can keep the conversation going. We've got an array of shows, interesting ones at that, lined up for you today. So keep it locked on this dial. Samson Balogun is my name. Until tomorrow, we shall be meeting again. I say keep being good, keep being safe out there. Bye for now.
All right, thank you for being a part of the show. Join us tomorrow sometime, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And before I go, I want to say be intentional about the decisions that you take this week. My name is Oluwayemi Adela. I'm saying good morning.